Welcome to the first bonus episode of Making an Impact. I'm Wes Thurley and I lead commercial real estate segment at Schneider Electric. So the entire world is finally facing up to the challenge of decarbonisation and attempting to stop using fossil fuels to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and ultimately stop the earth warming up. It's a global crisis being tackled at a local level, and the hard facts are worrying. 75% of greenhouse gas is from fossil fuels and approximately 40% comes from commercial real estate buildings. With so many critical topics to cover, we're delighted to be hosting extra episodes of this Making an Impact series. These episodes will focus on the potential impact being made by technology and in particular the emergence of artificial intelligence in the world of commercial real estate. With our guests looking at their past and current projects, their career journey to date, and ultimately the impact their work is having on the world. In this episode, we're making an impact with Silvia Prieto, lead of generative AI and machine learning for global financial services at Amazon Web Services. We'll explore how machine learning and AI can reduce carbon in the operational phase of existing buildings, as well as whether generative AI can help landlords and asset owners meet energy regulations, their ESG targets, and speed up the race to net zero. So welcome, Silvia, to Making an Impact.
Thank you very much, Wes. Delighted to be here with you today.
Thank you very much. So AI, it must be such an exciting field to work in right now. You know, so much growth, so much in the press. Even the Prime Minister of the UK announces he wants to use AI to revolutionise the national health system. What's taken you down this path, and what is your background that got you there?
Yes, so it's been a journey. Let me start from the beginning. So I studied industrial engineering in Spain, specialized in electronics. And my first job was actually in smart buildings in a small company in Spain. And I did 2 years there where I touched a little bit about all the HVAC, fire control, lighting control, so a bit of everything that goes into a building. Then I moved to the UK and got the job in Schneider, also in the power division for smart power solutions. And I was there for like 2.5 years. Then I got a promotion for team leader. And it was always working on the operational side of things, right? How to deliver the projects to our customers. And that's where I really learned how working with many clients in London and in the UK, how things are done in terms of, collecting data and the process of that data that we get from the buildings. But after a few years, I saw that I tried sales a little bit as well. And at the same time, I also studied and did an MBA. But I wasn't a bit sure about if I wanted to stay in the industry or change a little bit. And I always liked tech a lot. So that's when I joined Amazon Web Services. But I started with the IoT team, so Internet of Things, where it's still connecting the world to the cloud, right? So that's when I really learned more about the cloud. And then I could see that the insights are really on what you do with the data, right? Yeah. Not the data itself. The data itself doesn't really have value unless you use it, right? And there's always been analytics for many years on how to process that data, but I saw in machine learning, because generative AI didn't exist at the time, this was before 2 years ago, that's how you really process large amount of data to gather insights and predict what's going to happen next potentially, right? And I thought, okay, I want to move into machine learning. That's how I want to focus on that. And at the time, the position that I could find was within financial services industry. And that's where I've been for the last almost 3 years. So that's how I got into machine learning.
Amazing. And I can recall your time with us at Schneider, and always inquisitive back then about pushing the boundaries, not being satisfied with the way things are going if there's a way to do it better. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense to me how you end up now in the world of artificial intelligence, pushing at the edge and striving for improvement. And you may remember the way we used to maintain buildings back then, whether that be on the mechanical or electrical infrastructure, certainly on the building management system, was quite a manual process.
Yeah.
now you've been on this journey, how do you think we could do it differently to improve the efficiency of the existing buildings?
So I remember when I was going to site to our customers to talk to them and do the maintenance of the systems, and you will see that most of the engineers were like very busy doing many things and doing repairs, and they were not looking to the system much more than to check faults and alarms. So something's gone wrong, I need to fix it. That's my job. But I didn't really see people actually analyzing the data and coming up with ideas on how to run it better, more efficiently, right? But there's also like teams changing over the life of building. Even if our systems, Schneider systems, life for 10, 15 years, people might change jobs and lose a bit of the context of how things work. So I think there is a huge potential because most of these buildings have years and years and years of data that can be retrieved and analyzed. So there is a huge potential for this structured data that lives in these tables and time series tabular tables that can be used and processed very easily with machine learning.
And, it feels like we're at what you might describe, or I might describe, as an explosive, revolutionary point for AI, and machine learning in general, and even in our homes, or in our regular daily lives. We're using ChatGPT, we're using maybe solutions that are digitized that weren't previously before. I know at home my young son will use Alexa for pretty much everything, from reading him stories to trying to trick dad that he's wrong in some way. Um, but in the commercial real estate industry, stats do support the idea that the adoption of technology isn't as fast, maybe.
Yeah.
Any reason why you think that might be, and what could speed it up?
Yeah. So I think the area of machine learning before, let's say, ChatGPT was released, which is when it kind of became mainstream, is been something that only the data scientists and machine learning researchers talk about and worry about, right? So it was a very niche topic that was normally part of businesses who have been mature on the data side. So maybe life science, financial services, some automotive who've invested on data science a bit earlier than other industries. So when this kind of came up, it kind of caught up a lot of people by surprise.
Mm,
But they really now understood the potential and the power that this new technology can bring to all of us. I think some of the problems, I see mainly two problems. One is like the data that they have is not in the right format and is therefore not easy to consume at scale. So the data is locked into legacy applications that need to be migrated, or it's not straightforward to talk to them at the same time to have like a common denominator to analyze all at once. But I think mainly it's also like a cultural change, right, on the way that you do work and the way that you train yourself for the last few years, right? So I think companies need to invest in training and development. They need to invest in change management because things are going to change the way we do work. And obviously, changing the way someone works is always difficult because we naturally, as humans, don't like change.
for sure.
So it's a bit of a process, and you need to take people on the journey with them. So
Yeah, I think two things you said there really resonate with me. Certainly the culture. I've definitely witnessed, culture being a blocker to adoption of technology. But then once people start to see the benefits, then it can really start to speed up. But you also talk about the access to data and how this is really important to enable and unleash the potential of like an AI machine learning model.
yeah.
Um, so are we saying then, if data from all of these different subsystems that exist within a building was made more easily available in a consumable format, this would
Yes.
speed things up, help things out?
Yeah, massively. I mean, if you remember when I started in real estate, we had literally one PC for lighting, one PC for BMS, one PC for fire control, and they will not talk to each other, right? I know that since then things are evolved, and then I think EcoStruxure has everything under like one umbrella, but still that's only one part of it, right? You still need to have other systems that also, like the lift control, for example, or whatever is controlling the kitchen or the appliances on the kitchen. Whatever you have on the roof or exterior lighting might be different as well. So I think it's harder to get an overview of the whole building if you cannot access the data. As a data scientist, one of the main jobs that you need to do, and one of the hardest things sometimes, is just have access to data quality.
Yeah.
So, and that's normally like 50 or 60% of a data scientist time. Just take the data, curate it, and analyze it. So it's a big thing to have the data in one thing. And I think one of the reasons why adoption is being a bit slower is because people are realizing, okay, I want to do this, machine learning and generative AI, but my data is not ready. So now I need to change the data or transform the data so that I can actually use it. And that takes time because you need to change systems and the way you work.
Yeah, of course. And some of these systems that they're collecting data from could be, 20 years old, I guess.
Some of them, yeah.
But we're talking about a lot of data, aren't we?
Yes.
I mean, I've read some stats that support the idea that some machine learning models are processing tens of billions of parameters.
Yep.
That's pretty scary in a matter of weeks or even days. So humans can't compete
No, we
with that.
can't. No,
Surely.
but that's not the point. I think what LLMs and generative AI models have done is they have compressed human knowledge on the internet, which is not all human knowledge, but it's a big portion of it, into something that fits on a piece of hardware, which is amazing. Like it's probably one of the biggest achievements that humanity has achieved over the last few years. So that's amazing. So what these models are really good at is read and write. That's their superpower. Now, are we relying on what the model knows to answer our questions? No. What we are doing is we are leveraging the read and write power of these models with the data that the companies have to come up with ideas. Because it's great at summarizing and taking insights and redacting, generating a draft of documents. So that is a huge help. So and that's, for me, was the real power for enterprises.
Sure. And maybe there's a word you've used that could be scaring some people right now, which is the right part. I interpret that what you're saying is that the AI can actually instruct back and not only read the information, but actually send signals back the other way and control things that are happening in a building. Now, I can see the benefit of that, but I can also understand maybe people would be worried about that. Am I understanding that correctly? Is this it's read write?
So it's read and write text. So literally text.
Yeah.
Now, what you do with the output, you can have it as a suggestion or you can have it as a command, right? So I will say that ideally you will have suggestions of this is the alarm, for example, right? Like something is going wrong and you can say, okay, this might be because this sensor is, out of range, or because this pump is stopped, or because, whatever else. The pressure here, for example, the pressure seems too high, but the temperature is the same and the flow is the same. So maybe the sensor is actually wrong because everything else looks normal. Or these three things are wrong at the same time. Huge problem at, coming as up. This kind of insights that you can combine with the manual of that particular pump or HVAC system will allow the person who's monitoring that to understand the system much better. So I'm not saying that you need to make it control and make decisions, even though we already do a lot of automation already out of the box, right? Like someone walks into a room, the lights go up. That's automated. No one is pressing the button. So you could potentially, if you're more comfortable, try to automate some things as well. But it's entirely up to you how you want to implement it.
And it feels like you've just highlighted again another benefit potentially, like not only feeding the machine learning model the data from the building in real time, but maybe also even giving the description of operation, the data sheets, I think you said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so what we're saying, this is like almost like a benchmarking exercise. Is it performing as it is designed to? And can you check that? And then could you do it on a mass scale? We're talking maybe on a portfolio wide, an asset owner of 30 buildings, for example. This would be easy for...
Yeah. I'm not going to say you can do it in 5 minutes, but, once you do it once.
Why is it not done yet? I thought it was fast.
Yes. I mean, the once you do it once, the blueprints that you produce is the same. And then you just need to combine several, just need to put data together and create a dashboard that tells you what you want to see. And then you can benchmark buildings against each other. Now, if you're a big real estate owner with different buildings in different parts of the world, it's not a big thing.
Yeah.
As long as there is connectivity to these systems, which it should be today, there's no excuse why not to. Yeah.
You make it sound so much easier than what maybe people are scared of actually. So I hope people are feeling more comfortable
Yeah,
with it already,
it is
Silvia.
possible. I
So
think the technology is there to do all these things and
yeah.
more. I mean, look up, it's a parallel analogy, but like the Formula One races, like all the data that we see now coming from the cars, right? In real time,
Mm.
the pressure of the tires, the temperature of several parts of the car while it's happening, like super high tech stuff, right? So, controlling a building that's super stable because the temperature on a building doesn't change massively from 1 minute to the next is about getting access to the data, build the skills for people to be able to manage the data, and then just change the way of working. But I think the opportunity, as you mentioned, is massive.
Absolutely. And I think that the amount of data in any one given building is only growing anyway. Like
And
we
it's
see
every year.
every year, right?
Every day is growing because you have more data.
You have more sensors.
Yeah.
We want to know who's using the building now.
Yeah.
It's not just temperature, humidity.
Yeah.
We now want VOC. We want environmental data.
Yes.
Certainly in a post-COVID world, is much more important to check the parameters of the environment, of the space you're working, but also the space utilization data. So IoT sensors are being added everywhere.
Yeah.
The lifts are giving us data. So there's an overwhelming, in some
Yes.
people's minds,
Yeah.
amount
Yeah.
of data.
Yeah.
But you're saying no problem. This is just
Yeah.
feed it in, and it will normalize this in
Yeah.
some way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's unreasonable for any human to expect to process all the data in one building, even if you only look at one system. That's why we use machine learning, because you can create a model that tries to understand what's happening, and it gives you the output. It gives you the insight that you need to know, so that you don't have to process the data as a human anymore. You just use the machines, and they will give you the insight, and then you have the choice to you act on it or not.
And I think there lies the opportunity, I suppose, isn't it? And maybe that brings us right back to culture.
Hmm.
Because, maybe if the humans that are used to running these buildings have time available now to act on the data and
Hmm.
act on the things that the machines are telling them to do, you would think would be more efficient, right?
Yeah,
And focusing only on the areas that could be improved.
and it could be, if you know what the rules cost, because you have the data sheet of the product plus the manual plus the sensor data, the model will be able to tell you this is the problem. So you don't need to spend 2 hours trying to find what's broken. It will lead you to what's broken already. So this is a productivity as well for people, for these engineers who responsibility is to fix it ASAP, right?
Yeah, it's creating the tasks,
Yeah.
the most important ones.
Yeah. So just tell them this is what you need to do. Go do it. Awesome.
So I think I'm just going to reflect a couple of seconds about some of the things that you've highlighted. Firstly, that the importance of access to data in buildings is one of the key components to unlock the full potential of advancements in technology such as artificial intelligence. And if we can get that data to the right people at the right place, the right software suites, analytics packages, then really the potential is limitless, I want to say,
Hmm.
in terms of what efficiencies we can achieve.
Yeah.
So access to data. We talked a bit about culture and like the fear factor, and how actually by adopting this kind of technology, we're still going to require human intervention to take action, and it will make us more efficient actually as a workforce.
Hmm.
Um, and that's exciting, I think, when you go right the way back to thinking some of the traditional methods of how to run a building, existing building, etc. It can be quite medieval, in all honesty. Um,
Yeah.
and then if we think about the reduction, which is the goal, the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, which is ultimately going to be the only thing that ensures the Earth doesn't warm up, and we leave a safe planet for our children
Yes.
and for our children's children. It's the right thing to do. It's time for buildings to be more responsible, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do, and I think it's an obligation now that we know what could go wrong if it goes wrong. I don't think we really have a choice to ignore it, so we need to do something about it.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I'm going to close this and say a massive thank you
Thank you for
for
inviting
joining
me.
me today. Yeah, on this on this special podcast episode, and I can honestly say are making a brilliant impact.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure being with you today.
Meet Zygo Activate, your carbon reduction solution. From tracking to emission reduction, Zygo Activate provides valuable insights and connects you with a network of energy solution providers to turn your ambitions into action. Wherever you are on your decarbonisation journey, our easy-to-use software gives you the customised roadmap and connections you need to reach your sustainability targets. Search Zygo Activate and request your free demo today.